Top climate scientists have issued a new report, meanwhile, on global warming. The report highlights that over the last several years, sea level rise, planetary warming, shrinking ice sheets and carbon pollution have accelerated. The key findings come ahead of the upcoming climate summit, which is being hosted by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres.
Hundreds of climate activists paying their respects to the Swiss glacier, another victim of a warming environment. The glacier is due to disappear over the next decade. At roughly 0.06 square kilometer, the glacier is a fraction of its area in 1987 when scientists recorded it to be 0.32 square kilometers.
We can basically not save this glacier. This glacier is a symbol that glaciers are disappearing, that the ice is melting in the Alps. We cannot save this glacier, but there are many other glaciers that we can potentially save by protecting the climate. The bigger glaciers, they can still be saved, but also in a smaller size.
The UN World Meteorological Organization has released an update about Earth's warming climate. And the forecast is not looking good. The world is failing to curb climate change. Humans have already warmed the planet to an average of 1.1 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial temperatures. Greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere have risen to record levels. Carbon dioxide concentration grew 2% in 2018, reaching a record high of 37 billion tons. The ocean, which absorbs most of the excess heat retained by the planet, had the highest heat content measurements in 2018 than during any other year. In fact, the period from 2015 to 2019 will be the hottest 5-year period on record since 1850.
Basically, we look at two things. I mean, where are we right now on implementing what we promised to do in Paris, and at the same time look at is what countries submitted and committed to doing in Paris, is that adequate to meet the situation in 2030 that we know from the science side is necessary. And I think on both counts right now the answer is no.
Under the 2015 Paris Agreement, countries have committed to reduce their emissions to limit long-term temperature rise by either 2 degrees Celsius or 1.5 degrees Celsius. But the UN report highlights that even if all countries meet the agreed targets, the world will be warmer by 2.9 degrees Celsius to 3.4 degrees Celsius. Heat waves have become the deadliest meteorological hazard in the last 5 years. And tropical cyclones cause the heaviest economic losses. The study says that efforts to reduce carbon pollution need to be tripled to keep from hitting the 2 degrees Celsius mark. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
As expected, US-Iran tensions have already started to dominate the political discourse on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly. The 3 European powers, France, UK and Germany, met ahead of the UNGA and unanimously declared Iran responsible for the attack on the Saudi oil facilities. UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson said that the world must explore the possibilities of a fresh nuclear deal with Iran, a claim that was then backed by US President Donald Trump. France, meanwhile, placed itself as a negotiator between US and Iran. President Emmanuel Macron met with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani on the sidelines of the UNGA. He is also scheduled to meet President Trump later on. But despite his love for mediating in foreign disputes, it seems that Donald Trump is not as excited about the idea when the US itself is involved.
We don't need a mediator. Iran wants to do something, and I don't think we need a mediator. He's a friend of mine, but we're not looking for any mediators. They know who to call.
According to Rouhani, the U.S. sanctions are a sign of Washington's desperation. Some of the sanctioned institutions were already part of the U.S. blacklist. But Donald Trump feels that U.S. sanctions are hitting Iran where it matters. According to the president, Iran is under more pressure than ever before.
Well, I don't want to say now, Steve, but look, we have a lot of pressure on them right now, more pressure than they've ever had. And Iran knows that they're in a position that a lot of things are going to happen. Let me just put it this way. A lot of things are happening with respect to Iran, a lot more than you would know, a lot more than the media knows, but a lot of things are happening. Okay? I'll be discussing it a little bit tomorrow.
Meanwhile, one major point of conflict between Iran and the West seems to be de-escalating somewhat. Iran has announced that the captured oil tanker Stena Impero is free to set sail. The British-flagged oil tanker was captured way back in July and has been a flashpoint between Iran and U.S. Western allies.